Last year, I realized something that surprised me. The systems I built, the systems that have worked beautifully for years, weren't working anymore. I had lost my mother to cancer, and for some reason, I decided that this was the perfect time to take on a big promotion at work as director of a multi-million-dollar behavioral science lab. At some point, I noticed that I needed a full life reset, complete with a new planner, new goals, and a surge of motivation that lasted for about a week. Then I realized, just like some of the high-performing clients that I work with, I was rebuilding my schedule, not my systems. And that's why it didn't last. It turns out this happens with lots of people that I work with. High achievers, creatives, and even other psychologists. We think a reset means organizing your calendar, buying a new notebook, or making a color-coded plan. But that's not a reset. A true and meaningful life reset takes what we know about human psychology and behavioral science to do it differently. A complete life reset is a structured and intentional process, starting with taking a step back and evaluating your current life frameworks. It's all about awareness. Awareness is the very first step in behavioral change. And psychologists even use it as an indicator of readiness to engage in therapy in clinical settings. It's also part of multiple therapeutic modalities, including cognitive and behavioral therapy, acceptance and commitment-based therapies, dialectical behavioral therapy, and that's because it's such a vital part of being ready to shift vital parts of your life. If you're interested in a deeper dive of how you know if people are ready to change, check out this video right here where I talk about the trans-theoretical model of change. And if you're asking, who is this person that's spitting out all these different types of therapies? Hi, my name is Dr. Jamie. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist who's focused on performance optimization for over a decade. And part of that is helping high performers when they need to do a complete life reset. Awareness helps bring you to the point where you're dissatisfied with the status quo. That motivation increases your willingness to put in time and investment to purposefully design the life that you want. An effective life reset is about redesigning your routines, systems, and environment so that they are aligned with your values, prioritizations, and your goals. Most people tend to start over here, focusing on what immediate behaviors they might be able to change. Less people focus on the systems, and even less focus on changing the environment. These are all important, but it's just the wrong place to start. Every sustainable behavioral change model backed by science starts with clarifying your values. I have literally taken my hair down to explain why it's vital that we start with values when we're looking to do a complete life reset. Understanding your values is going to make everything else in the life reset fall really nicely into place, because your values are what we call intrinsically motivating, meaning that no one has to force you to do the things that are consistent with what you find important. Knowing what's generally important to you and knowing what's specifically important to you in this season of life helps you to better identify the goals that you want to pour your time, resources, and energy into. And if you've watched any of my other videos on goal setting, you know that we have a finite amount of resources, a finite amount of time, energy, money. So it's ineffective to go after 15 or 16 different goals in a given period of time. Most people know these days that habits are a result of effective systems and having an environment that supports those systems. But I don't hear too much about how selecting the right habits to pursue can have an impact on your mental health and well-being. When our habits are consistent with our values, people tend to report a higher sense of purpose and meaning in their life. And research on therapeutic approaches have found that when your habits are consistent with your values, people tend to report less symptoms of depression and anxiety and higher levels of life satisfaction. Because your values directly impact your priorities, your goal setting, your habits, your systems, and influences what is your optimal environment, starting with your values is the most effective way to move through a full life reset. And that's why it seems like so many attempts at drastically shifting your life seem to fail. But don't worry, it happens to the best of us. I was recently reminded of this the hard way. Last year when I took that big promotion, it looked like a big career win. I'd gone from being a senior scientist to managing a multi-million-dollar science lab, overseeing both senior and junior scientists, as well as a full laboratory staff with almost 30 active research protocols. On paper, it was the next big step in my career. But in reality, I had completely disregarded one of my core values: mastery. My new role demanded breadth, not depth. I wasn't analyzing data, refining methodology, or digging into the kind of precision work that has always energized me. Instead, I was managing people, managing corporate politics, and attending endless meetings. Status or hierarchy have never really been motivating factors for me, so I became extremely busy but not deeply engaged. My systems were efficient, but my energy was non-existent. Even though I was organized and productive, I was just not aligned. That's when I hit the pause button, because it's pointless to optimize your schedule if it costs you your satisfaction. So before you build habits that truly stick, you need to ask yourself what you're building those habits for. That clarity comes from your values. Those are the principles that define what truly matters to you, and they're the compass that helps you decide what deserves your time, energy, and focus. Once you understand your values, everything else, your goals, your systems, your routines, become easier to achieve, build, and sustain. So before you try to rework your planner or reinvent your morning routine, try asking yourself, what do I actually care about? What actually means something to me? And almost more importantly, what doesn't matter to me at all? What do I want the next chapter of my life to look like? That's where a real life reset begins. That's also why I'm really excited to be hosting a live webinar where I can walk you through this process live. I'll be walking you through how psychologists work to clarify values and how to use them to build sustainable systems. It's a totally free webinar that kicks off my 6-week live cohort where we're working on resetting our lives before 2026. The link to join is down below. And if you're more of a do-it-yourself kind of person, check out this video where I walk through 26 powerful questions to help you clarify the person you'd like to become in 2026.